Oh, that's great. I was actually on mute for a little while there. Sorry about that. So you start to think of Micron being at 346% year over year revenue growth. 346% year over year revenue growth. Hmm. Stock goes up, shoots up, and then what happens? Things go down. Why did things go down? Oh, because the whole sector went down. Semiconductors went down. Do I expect for them to come back? Yes. Why? Because there's a squeeze right now. Because when people start talking about, oh, well, there's not enough RAM out there. No, they stopped selling to retail so that they could stock up so that they could sell to all their corporate customers and data centers. Aha. Big difference. Is a mighty, mighty big difference. I think a lot of people that are out there saying, oh, there's a shortage in supply. I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong because I think the chip manufacturers are lying. They knew what they were doing when they pulled out of the retail space. They pulled out of the retail space so that they could stock up on everything that they're going to sell. So that way they could actually make bigger money off of that. When you go look at Micron's profits, I want you to go take a look at their profit margins. Go look at that. Go look at that. Because when you're talking about RAM and regular storage, let me give you an example. I've given this example before. The computer that I bought late last year, it cost me $2,000. $2,000. You want to know how much that computer costs right now? $42.95. Before you lose your mind, hold on. I'm talking about the same exact computer. I'm not talking about the new version, the upgrade. It's got rounded edges or whatever. No. The same exact computer now costs $4,000. I was lucky enough to catch that computer at a price point because nobody was thinking about that kind of computer with universal memory. Nobody was thinking about it. NVIDIA was not thinking about it. AMD was. So AMD came out with it. Took a little bit for all of the drivers to hit the platform and everything else, but within a month or so, we had all the drivers we needed, all the setup and support that we needed, and it's been kicking tail ever since. NVIDIA saw that and was like, we need to come out with our own boxes. We need to come out with something too. So they did. So that means everybody's vying for the same chips. NVIDIA launched theirs and it cost $42.95. Right? Twice as much for the same configuration, same exact configuration, same exact form factor. Insane. Insane. How much can you get done with it? A lot. A lot. But if you're a company, you're not, unless you got big bulk, you're not buying that computer. You're not buying that computer. Like if you have a whole company and you're going through rolled upgrades and stuff like that, you're not buying that computer. But there are other computers, cheaper computers that can support 4 gigs of VRAM, 8 gigs of VRAM, 12 gigs of VRAM, and come in at a better price point. But you know what that does? It opens up a whole new market. It also means that if I have enough corporations that are spreading the AI around amongst those machines, I don't need data centers for that. I think the demand for data centers, the people that are demanding data centers are the ones that are saying, well, the business will come. Build it and it will come. What? I have competitive large language models that I can run locally that cost me nothing. I spent 5 million tokens. A couple of my guys have spent 5 million tokens over hours. And you think that I'm going to spend money on higher electricity and hits on my water bill because you want to build a ridiculously sized data center. For what business? Oh, the business is there. We have contracts. Do you? Because I know OpenAI is pulling back a little bit. I know Anthropic is pulling back a little bit. I know companies that are pulling back from their services because they're too expensive, and they're all exploring what? Yeah, they're all exploring local implementations because it's cheaper. They're all starting to figure out, I don't need your large language model top of the line to do the stuff that most of my people are doing. I don't need that. I want you to stop and think about this. Before all of these large language models came out in their current form, before then, probably the models that are out there for free, they were able to do all kinds of calculations inside Excel, do all kinds of stuff inside of Word and PowerPoint and blah, 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 bloody, bloody, blah. And now all of a sudden we're thinking, oh, we must have the latest and greatest model. We must have it. No, you don't. What is your business process? What is the solution that you need? Build for the solution. Build for the solution. And you'll probably find, oh, we don't need a big model for that. We can use this little one over here. We can make that local. Oh, can you now? Yeah, I can make it run locally, and I don't have to pay anything for the use of those tokens. So when you go back to the idea of needing all these data centers, doesn't that kind of destroy the idea? Don't need the data centers. Google has data centers. They have the compute. So what are they doing? Oh, we'll give you this dirt cheap. We'll make our free level of model so cheap that it's free and still so good that you can get a lot of work done. I want you to think about that. You can go to gemini.google.com and use that engine for anything, and it's good to go. Simple stuff and all that. It's good to go. What are you talking about? They've released Diffusion Gemma for free. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there for free, and companies are saying to themselves, oh, we can't afford that money. We can't afford to be in the Anthropic OpenAI commercial level for AI. And then they're sitting back and they're thinking, well, are we sure we need Fable 5? Fable 5 is mad expensive. Are we sure we need that? Yeah. So the math is not mathing for all the data centers. And it's up to you to do your own research about the data center needs that they think is coming. I think they're way, way, way too far ahead. They're very much ahead of themselves. They're projecting forward. Oh, we're going to build it, and because we're going to need it, we can project this out and blah, blah, blah. You're not going to need it if these companies don't need it. They're starting to figure out all of our people don't need access to AI. They don't need all these services. And you know what? The more access we give them, it's harder for them to do stuff. You had people, you're forcing your people to use AI. They were doing stuff like using AI to make text bold. Underline that for me. Rewrite it as a joke. Not because they were going to put that in their report, but because they just needed to use the tokens. It's called token maxing. But now those same companies are coming back to their people talking about, yeah, stop using AI. It's too expensive. It's not productive. Stop doing that. You made us do it. You made us do that. What is wrong with you? So I just find it funny. I find it very funny. So when I look at AI, as far as everything is going, I'm thinking about, well, what are the things that I actually need? Let me give you an example about how we use AI that saves a ridiculous amount of time. I haven't even done the math on how much time it saves. Every morning, my team and I get up. We do research on all the articles we want to publish. We do all that research. We prepare all the articles, and then we have AI check it, right? Make it read better, all that good stuff. We just put in all our research, and AI writes in each one of our writing styles. Do you know how much time that saves? Do you have any idea about how much time? It's a ridiculous amount of time that saves. Then it goes from the article to bullet points for my script. Then I do the show. And by the way, each article that happens, it gets blasted out over social media, the platforms that we like, the platforms that we prefer. Once it gets blasted over social media, they then combine each one of the bullets so we can create a headless video that goes out over social media. Not done yet. Then what happens? It gets better. Now that we have that go over social media and I do the show, it automatically, when I'm done shooting the live show, it automatically takes all of that and puts it up on Roku for video on demand. All work that a human being doesn't have to do anymore. Imagine how much time that saves. And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker that people miss. I'm reusing the same content across mediums. Build once, use many. It saves an inordinate amount of time. An inordinate amount of time. I went from doing maybe 5 articles a day. Then I jumped to 10. I made myself a little bit more efficient. Now with the new processes in place, we're banging out like 40 to 50 articles a day. Truthfully, I'd probably say like anywhere from 30 to 50 articles a day. Quality articles. We're not talking about, oh, here's a prediction article. That's not an article. We're actually doing research on every topic that we do. So imagine how much. Now that's a complete engine. That is a complete engine that we've built with a ridiculous amount of time saved. Because we had a process first. We had a manual process where we did all this stuff, and then we figured out we can automate this, we can automate this, we can automate this. Then we got even better at automating. We can take this whole process end to end and automate it. End to end and automate it. And only a piece of that involves AI. For my weekend scripts, you want to know what's really cool? We have this rag in place, and I'm sorry, let me get you the exact term. A retrieval augmented generation. Okay, retrieval augmented generation. Now, what we do with each one of these articles is, before it gets published, it goes through, it gets posted to the database. And what else happens? It gets tokenized. That's right. We tokenize the article so that we can get to searches even faster. So when I do my scripts now, it takes a split second to perform a search for all of the AI articles that we've popped out over the past week. A split second. Now that I've called up all those articles, we can move forward and create the script for each of the weekend shows. We can do this for any show. Here's something even better for you. I'm researching to do a book. I'm interested in doing a book, a year in review, because if I can review the year in review, if I can do the year in review, it helps me actually look forward to the future. So instead of looking at the future, what do I think is going to happen next week, like we do on the Sunday roundup, I get to go further out, and I get to learn from my past. How do I do that? Retrieval augmented generation. That rag is lickety fast, boy. It's wicked. It's wicked. So depending on what your business processes are, you can bang things out fairly quickly, and you can update and upgrade your business processes. That's why you have an interest in AI. It's not just to produce text and things like that. It can really help you and your business truly understand the data that's within your business. So we had to tokenize everything that we already had, but then we tokenize on the fly as well. So we went from, an article taking about 30, 45, maybe 50 seconds to about a minute, 15 seconds, maybe 20. But that expands the usefulness of that data. Now you see what I mean. And that's very helpful when you're doing research, because it comes back fast. When I'm sitting here and I'm doing research, it can just go, bam, here you go. This is the stuff that you were looking for. You want me to do anything with this subset of data? Every morning, let's call it 20 articles, right? Call it 20 articles. So in the morning, I have 20 articles. And then all of a sudden, I want to do research on what touched AI. That search comes back in seconds. And I've got maybe 8 or 9 articles about AI. Now you know why we use AI. When used properly, it can truly help you and make you more efficient. That's the big deal. So on Monday, the prevailing thoughts on Monday, global markets remain volatile, and amid key Fed policy uncertainty, AI innovation breakthroughs, and regulatory advancements in tokenized assets, with tech equities under pressure from rising rates and debt-driven capital spending. So that regulatory push, well, in the Philippines, real world assets, big deal. It was a very big deal. AI limitations. While AI models face accuracy challenges, because some of these models are using new technology. What is it, TPM? What does it stand for? Text protocol. TPM or TMP? I forget what it is, which one it is, but it's text model protocol or something like that. And it makes it so things are faster. But because you can move faster, like anywhere between 1.4 times to 2.2 times faster, that's a big deal, right? Yeah, more time saved. But the accuracy can be limited. So here's an example. Google came out with their version, and they even tell you, hey, we're going to lose some accuracy. Quen came out with theirs and said, yeah, we do something similar, but we don't lose accuracy. Yeah, that's when you sit there and you kind of go, huh? There you go. So imagine how fast things can happen just because you changed what you're doing and you don't lose accuracy. Those are big advancements. Those are really big advancements. Really, really big. Because that means that you're moving faster using less energy. Less energy, less heat. See where this is going? That's what I mean. Right? So you have, while AI face that accuracy challenges and all that good stuff, frameworks like Arbor show promise in improving agent learning efficiency, potentially altering enterprise AI investment priorities. And then you had the big hand of the federal government coming in and saying, you have to wait to release yours. That was Monday. This is Monday. Risk and red flags, AI model staleness. 18 models losing accuracy with longer inputs. They're still trying to figure that one out. The math is done. This is the best you're going to get, I think. There would have to be a massive breakthrough to change that, which is why I keep telling everybody, understand your business processes before you throw technology at it. We understood our business processes so that by the time we threw technology at it, what were we able to do? We were able to increase the efficiency of those business processes, which also meant that we could also increase our security posture. We can improve upon that. You're not going to thwart everything, but you can do a better job with what you're doing now. That was the idea. So when I listen to all these gurus out here, so-called gurus, I listen to what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I just sit there and just go, you done lost your mind. You really have lost your mind because you're not putting in any semblance of guardrails. You're not improving the model prompts. You're not properly leveraging those models. You're putting in additional steps that are not required. There are a whole bunch of things that go on. And I just sit there and just kind of go, wow. This is why they tell you software developers get a lot more out of AI than the regular person, because they think in a different kind of way. They think in a very different kind. So I sit there and I think about why 62% of the companies out there are walking away from AI projects. And it's because they haven't thought it through. They haven't really given thought to the business processes, to the actual business case, the actual business problem that they're trying to solve. And so they're not necessarily choosing the most efficient model for what they're trying to pull off. So did you realize that if all I'm doing is rewriting text, I don't need a big model. I can use a smaller model to do that. It'll move faster and do the same job. So you kind of have to pay attention to what it is that you're trying to do. But let's go over some of the news. Some of these things that have happened over the past week are insane. So on June 22nd, China imposed export restrictions on 10 U.S. corporations involved in rare earth element production, critical for semiconductor and AI hardware. AI has become a weapon of choice. If I can affect your ability to leverage AI, that's a problem, right? It really is. Then SK Hynix, also on the 22nd, their market capitalization briefly exceeded Samsung Electronics for them to become the number one stock in South Korea. Samsung came back. But those are two semiconductor. SK Hynix is a semiconductor company. You can say that that Samsung is too, but Samsung is ridiculously diversified. They're going to make money no matter what. Then we had CoreWeave is set to join the NASDAQ 100, or was set to join the NASDAQ 100 on the 22nd of June. This is all just the 22nd of June. Yeah, Monday. South Korea's export surge hit 60.4% as semiconductor boom reshapes global markets. Yeah. All of that. Anthropic has completed training a more advanced AI model, potentially a successor to its Mythos series, including Fable 5. So what they told the world was, yeah, you can tell us not to use that, but we have something else on deck. And then what they turn around and do, oh, we need to have rules around AI. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? By the way, everything that I'm talking about right now, these are all articles that you can find on growmybag.tv. There are over 16,200 articles on growmybag.tv right now. And the search is, like I said, very fast. You can go research AI, artificial intelligence, tokenization, crypto, whatever subject within the investment space. You can go look this stuff up. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So when I sit back and I look at all these things, I just kind of go, wow. I just really kind of go, wow. Ron Barron dropped about, he thinks that SpaceX is going to go up. I think SpaceX has a problem. I think SpaceX looks like a profitable company, but it's not profitable. They don't pull a profit just yet. They're a long way from it. But it looks like a money generator. What they do is interesting, but the bulk of the money is, we'll call it a hope expense. That, or you can call it a bet on Elon. I'm not taking that bet. I am not taking that bet. That to me is not a good bet. Not a good bet at all. So yeah, I think about that. And I'm just, again, this is just me going over what happened over the past week. Right? And it's because you have AI all over the place. Look at semiconductors, but look at Broadcom. Look at AMD. Even look at Intel. Did you forget that? Yes, they got it. They got that deal with Apple. This is why you pay attention. This is literally why we pay attention to these things. It's no joke. It is absolutely no joke. So when I do my research on this, because we do our own research, we know our entries and exits, and we absolutely invest deliberately. When you're looking at AI, there are a lot of different spaces that you have to look at. It's not just going to be the semiconductors. It's not just going to be the large language model makers. You also need to start looking at, well, who are like SaaS, software as a service? That's going to take a hit. It is taking a hit. How is it taking a hit, Eddie? Because you have companies out there like Bain Capital that are saying, we can actually just vibe code some of this software that's out there, solve a niche problem, and make money from it. SaaS is going to have to rethink how much it's billing. So that whole Salesforce, Agent Force thing that they came out with, you can't tell me that that's not a huge joke. You cannot tell me that's not a huge joke. Give me a moment. I'm trying to see if I can find the article real quick. So Salesforce's Agent Force AI platform, launched in September 2024, faced data quality issues, inconsistent behavior, and pricing challenges. By 2026, the company acquired 10 firms in 6 months to address gaps, including Momentum for voice and video, data processing, and Simulate for conversational shopping. Despite these moves, integration of disparate tools remains a critical challenge. So what else did Agent Force do? Literally over the past week, they announced that they're going to buy Fin, formerly Intercom, for $3.6 billion. Nothing screams Agent Force was a failure more than we're going to go buy the company that was already doing what we said we were going to go do. Yeah. Why is that? Because they learned the hard way that it's really hard to take an old platform and teach it new tricks. That's why. They had a hard time with that. They're choking on it right about now. They're literally choking on it right about now. So watch how that integration happens. They were trying to build, and they had the right idea. They absolutely had the right idea. We've got a whole bunch of data. They even bought Informatica to fill out even more data. right? And they brought out each one of these tools, or they bought out each one of these tools to solve gaps in what they thought was the ideal workflow, until they figured out, oh, wow, we're not doing a good job at merging these solutions into our platform. So what happened? Well, we're going to have to go buy Fin for $3.6 billion because it does everything that we thought, what we said we were going to do. Why are they in a rush to go make this happen? Oh, I don't know. Because a lot of their, let me just fix this real quick. There you go. So it's because a lot of their contracts come due in January. And the number one question from all of their customers about this whole agent force thing is, well, we had that shoved down our throats. What did we get for it? Uh-huh. So those negotiations for new contracts, because I don't think anybody's going to leave Salesforce, right? Yeah, there are smaller companies that are doing smaller things, because I do think that Salesforce is a bit bloated. I really do. But that's okay. That's all right. We're not worried about that. Not too much anyway. Right? When you think about that, you're kind of like, well, man, if we can do this right, if they can actually take Intercom and have Intercom sit on top of everything else and pull from each space as they need, or as it needs, you might have a winning agent force now. That might actually do it. That's the big deal. So when I'm looking at AI, the example that Salesforce gave everybody is, you had better really understand your business processes and understand the types of solutions that you're actually going to need to implement, because they had a problem with integrating that technology into their old platform. Sometimes you just need to pull from your old platform into a new platform as you need it, right? And don't just pull what you need, and that might be your upgrade pattern. That might wind up being your upgrade pattern. Upgrading over time as you need it. You just need people on your side of the fence that will actually sit with you and work with you to help you understand how it all works. Do you know most businesses don't understand their business processes? And now you're thinking they must because they're in business. No, they understand how they do things, but they don't understand it from a process perspective, which means that they won't be able to pick out how they can make that process or those processes more efficient. Once you do that, then you've got it. Then you've got it. Give me one moment, because I pick up one. Sorry about that. I always pick up when my kids call. Families first. Everything that I do is because of my family. Everything. I often tell you guys to figure out your why. They are my why. But most businesses out there don't understand how they can do things better. Well, we've always done it like this. They're doing it on a daily basis. It's second nature to them. They normally cannot pull themselves away and look at it from up here to say, wow, that's really old. We could be doing this. We could be doing that. We could be doing this. This is how we can do it. So you call a professional in, like me and my team, that can help you do that. But let's suppose you're a business owner and you actually do have a minute to sit down and think about your business processes. Are you married to them because you created that process and you think that process works fine? What happens if you can make that process better and you can save, I don't know, a half hour a day? You think, oh, it's only 30 minutes a day, but then you stop and you think about, whoa, wait a minute. That's 2.5 hours a week. 2.5 hours a week. And then you start to look at other things. How can I save time here, save time there, save time here, save time there? And then you start to realize I can now increase the efficiency of my whole team if I make these changes. Giving my team back some time, giving my team back some capacity. It doesn't mean I need to fill the capacity. It means I might be able to let my team have a breather and not everything have to be a fire drill every day. It creates an environment that people want to stay at. And eventually those people are going to say, oh, well, yeah, we have a better time, but you know what? I'd be able to do this. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Why? Because I no longer feel under the gun. And I know that if I see something, I can say something and maybe it'll become more efficient as a process and we can throw things at it to make it faster. And I can get back to doing the stuff that I really like to do. And if I leverage that capacity more efficiently, I can increase my company's revenue. Right? What are the commercials that you see online or, on television all the time? You see Ramp. They tell you all you have to do is take a picture of your receipt and then boom, it's already in the system. You don't have to do anything else. That's a time saver. That's a huge time saver. Because normally people spend hours. Nobody wants to do their expense reports because it takes hours to do them. They're manual. But if I can just take pictures of all my receipts and then boom, done, I'm off to the races. What used to take me hours takes me minutes. 10 minutes. I'm literally just taking pictures I'm scanning. If I'm taking a picture of something and it's going into a system, I'm scanning. All done. All done. So when I look at all this news and I look at Salesforce making that mistake, I'm also sitting back and I'm watching Salesforce correct the mistake. That's the part that people miss. They effed up really, really bad. And then they said, we can keep eating this crow or we can come up with the solution to our problems. And they just happen to be a real business that happens to have real money so that they can buy their ways out of this mistake. Here's something else that people are going to miss. Not only are they going to be able to buy themselves out of this mistake, but I firmly believe that what they're going to be building is probably will wind up being the best thing on the market. If they do it right, this could be the best thing on the market. So eating a little crow now could propel them to being what was promised before and then build a moat around their business. That is huge. That is huge. Pay attention to these things. They can work to your advantage. Do your research when it comes to AI. There are lots of different facets where you can make money investing in AI. If you're a small business, medium-sized business, even an enterprise, there are places that you can save money and avoid costs that can make your organization more efficient. Efficiency is king. Remember that as we move forward in the artificial intelligence age, efficiency is king. Queen can do more. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. If you like what I'm doing, do me a favor, hit the hype, smash the likes, tell all your friends about what we're doing. Why? Because Grow My Bag is the only platform on the planet, the only ecosystem on the planet that cares about growing your knowledge when it comes to investing. We're specifically talking about This Week in AI. Why? Because we wanted to have a specific show that can help us pinpoint where those points that can actually help us. And this is the bridge between investing and growing your business. We can help you on both sides. That's why we're doing this particular show. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope to see you soon. Tomorrow, the Sunday Roundup. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.